Yo, what is up, noobs? It's your boy, the people's champ of doubles overused, Idol here, and today we're going to look over some fun and interesting XY games from the recent weeks of doubles Premier Leagues. I have prepared like 7 games, and I've also decided to like prepare some highlight sets that are pretty interesting in the current XY doubles overused metagame, and we're going to basically see and talk about how these sets basically fit into the overall grander scheme of the overall meta, right? So with that out of the way, we're going to go over the first game here on the screen right now, which is Week 1 Single Thunder versus QSNS. This first game is interesting because, well, it's a Mega Gengar mirror, right? Nobody really expected Mega Gengar mirror to happen, especially so soon at Week 1, considering Mega Gengar is a Pokemon that, as of late, has really fallen down the flagpole. And this is because of its matchup into Deoxys S. Deoxys S is a really popular Pokemon right now. Well, not necessarily right now, but it was popular in the context of the pre-DPL metagame because it's really good at setting rocks. And this Mon Deo S being popular is bad for Mega Gengar because it's a faster psychic type compared to Mega Gengar's only base 130 speed only, right? It's really fast, but it's a Pokemon that's faster than it, and it also preys upon it, prevents it from leading, prevents it from getting into the lead matchup and activating Stag or Shadow Tag immediately, which of course hurts its value a lot. However, I don't necessarily think it's bad personally. I don't think Mega Gengar is bad. It's more of a personal playstyle thing. If you think you're able to get value out of the trapping, it's probably good as long as you can prepare for your Deo S matchup. And you can see here in both of these teams how these players specifically went out of their way to make sure that their Deo S matchups are pretty manageable. Single Thunder, of course, opting into a comp with Aegislash. Aegislash lead is really strong into Deoxys S comps because it matches up well into Mega Kangaskhan and Deoxys S. The two of those, right? Kangaskhan is essentially forced to fake out Dry while not Mega for Scrappy to keep Scrappy, right? And Deoxys S, if Kangaskhan doesn't do that, Deoxys S is under threat of being KO'd by Shadow Ball. QSSS's team, on the other hand, has a Whimsicott and a Genesect. Genesect, of course, is good into Deoxys S because it's a Steel type. However, it does have to fear HP Fire. So in the context of this team, it's probably Scarf. Whimsicott is also it's probably Scarf for beating Deoxys S. Whimsicott is also nice for dealing with possible Kangaskhan plus Deoxys S lead because it essentially prevents fake out. The combination of Mega Gengar plus Whimsicott essentially means that clicking Mega Kangaskhan fake out against this team is essentially illegal because you're going to get encored into fake out and then disabled by Mega Gengar while trapped, and you're basically goobed if that happens to you. So Mega Gengar isn't allowed to click fake out against this team, which means that then a possible Choice Scarf Genesect should be able to U-turn onto the Deoxys S and basically kill it and then prevent rocks from going up. Of course, that's an assumption that this is Choice Scarf from Team Preview. Of course, Thunderous on both sides are also good as well if it's Taunt for stopping a Deoxys Hazard lead, as well as Thunder Wave. It's the Thunderous Thunder Wave with Prankster to basically just prevent it from being an offensive threat against Mega Gengar. And that is pretty much how these teams are prepared for that specific matchup. In terms of taking advantage of Shadow Tag, of course, these two teams have strong ways of picking off threats. The fighting type are the fighting types on the respective teams are good for trapping Mega Kangaskhan and killing with CC and Drain Punch respectively. Talonflame and Genesect are good threats, are good Pokemon that are taking isolated threats that are trapped with Stag. Thundurus is good, Landorus is good, and Whimsicott and Aegislash are essentially the wild cards of the team in context of these teams relative to each other, right? And with that out of the way, with that team preview out of the way, let's head on over to the game itself. We're going to take the point of view of Single Thunder because, well, we're gonna skip to end here. Single Thunder was very kind of them to. It was very kind of them to actually reveal the team XD. So we basically are able to look at this accurately from the point of view of Single Thunder. Yeah, we're able to see this game and analyze this game from the perspective of one team being essentially relieved and rather revealed and known to us. So yeah, okay, so cut and dry, Mega Gengar lead. Gengar versus Gengar, Landorus versus Landorus, genies of the healthy metagame, of course. And with this turn 1, we are able to basically intuit that this Gengar on Single Thunder's side is faster than the Gengar on QSNS's side because it's obviously, as we've seen earlier, it's not a max speed Gengar set. If a Gengar set that's not max speed is faster in the mirror, then you can basically assume that your Gengar is faster than their Gengar. And we know this because they both use Protect. Our Gengar, Single Thunder's Gengar is faster than QSNS's Gengar. So yeah, this one's faster, this one's slower. And then we can intuit from that this Gengar is probably bulky because of, well, it's slow, right? And so it's a bulky Gengar It's a bulky Gengar mirror. Our Gengar just happens to be faster than theirs. Our Landorus I is faster than their Landorus T, and this is Life Orb, so this is basically not Scarf. It reveals Assault Vest because it takes that HP Ice like a champ, of course. You turn here into Whimsicott, and now here, Single Thunder switches out their Mega Gengar. That's a play that I wouldn't necessarily make because your Gengar is faster, right? And if this Whimsicott, of course, you have to respect Encore, right? But if this clicks Encore onto the Mega Gengar, it's not really a big deal. You can still switch out because you're a ghost type. Again, Mega Gengar is a ghost type. I'm stuttering. Mega Gengar is a ghost type, right? It's able to switch out from Stag. So it doesn't really have to fear Encore as much. And if Encore is forced, that basically means this Gengar needs to have HP Ice in order to force the kill onto the Landorus Eye. Just Shadow Ball alone won't be enough to kill from 75, I assume. And we can also honestly intuit that this is probably not HP Ice. It could be HP Ice. It could be like Shadow Ball, HP Ice, and with Disable, right? Assuming Disable with the Whimsicott. It could be that, but probably not. And this is because this Mega Gengar is 192 speed. It's teched for Mega Salamence. If we're going to assume that this is, if we're going to assume that, right, well, we're not going to assume, if we know that this is faster than this, then we can assume that this is a Mega Gengar that's not really teched for Mega Salamence. Thus, it's also probably not HP Ice. Of course, you can still be HP Ice for Landorus Eye, but the likelihood is much smaller. And given the more context with this team, it probably wants double stabs. Sludge Bomb is pretty important for hitting Mega Kangaskhan, and Shadow Ball is pretty important for hitting Aegislash, right? And Genesect too. So yeah, you can just, I would assume double stabs and disable, and thus I would always Shadow Ball and Earth Power into this Mega Gengar 100% of the time. However, Single Thunder instead switches out. Landorus Eye gets fake steers, and it drops to the Shadow Ball. If the Mega Gengar here instead egoed and Shadow Balled, this Mega Gengar probably goes down to like 1 HP, like basically one really. And this is important because it would then be in range of Talonflame BB, even through Intimidate, which would have been very, very nice. However, this is the game state we have now. Talonflame and Thunderous. This Mega Talonflame doesn't really force a kill into the Gengar because, well, it also has to deal with possible Intimidate switching from Landorus T, right? Also, it could also... I don't think it can live... maybe it can live. I'm pretty sure there's a Calc that can live Choice Band Talonflame BB, or rather Brave Bird, right? I'll clock right now. Yeah, there is a Calc that can live CBT Brave Bird. So yeah, you probably don't force this kill, really. So hitting that Shadow Wall would have been really, really nice. However, QSNS, if they want to, can opt to Ego here. Instead, just double protect, seeing what Single Thunder wants to lock into, with the nascent possibility that this is, of course, Chase Band. And seeing the moves that get locked into by the Talonflame, Brave Bird, Gengar takes nothing, it obviously lived, and it gets disabled. Yeah, that's also... Yeah, this is now trapped into CB Brave Bird. And it also leaves, the Landorus also lives the HP Ice, which is really, really terrible. Single Thunder opts to superpower the Landorus Eye, which is interesting. Probably not wanting to get disabled into HP Ice, but honestly, I wouldn't necessarily have cared about that. Or rather, no, yeah, not wanting the HP Ice disabled, but it only really needs HP Ice for Landorus T, and it's now at 4, right? So, and like, I guess like having your HP Ice disabled as you're trying to HP Ice the Landorus T would have been bad. So I guess that's fair. Either way, this Talonflame is now in, yeah, it's trapped in hell right now. Thunderous basically has to T-Wave the Gengar. Gengar gets paralyzed, which is cool. And crit struggle, sending this down to 5. Not much to say really. Big Iron Hands gets sent in. Iron Hands, I think, is honestly can be better than Conkeldurr. Well, I gave this team, so of course I would argue this. But it's nice with Mega Gengar in particular because it has Fake Out, and Close Combat is better at forcing the kill into Mega Kangaskhan compared to Drain Punch from Conkeldurr. Especially considering with Mega Gengar, you can basically force the idea that Landorus T ain't coming in to intimidate you. So yeah, this happens. HP Ice Punch. Conkeldurr Thunderous, with Landorus T getting then brought in into Iron Hands to intimidate it down. This Conkeldurr right now is a big threat because Single Thunder has 3 special attackers outside of Hariyama, right? Which is bad because this is Assault Vest, obviously. So they have to kill this. Well, knocking off the Assault Vest is actually great, though. Then Single Thunder will then opt HP Ice just to get the Thunderous low, respectable. But this being -1, by the way, this Thunderous is honestly kind of annoying because it's then in range of that. Yeah, Ice Punch. The defense drop, really fucking Single Thunder over there. Double target on the Hariyama, it's easily munches because it's obviously Assault Vest as well. That's Big Iron Hands for you. Shadow Ball doing 42 because Assault Vest was knocked off. CC then for getting the kill. Double target, and then this big Genesect comes in onto the field. Will it be CB? It could be. It could easily be CB. It could also just be Choice Scarf. It's probably Choice Scarf given the context of the S. I think it should be Choice Scarf anyway. Whimsicott on this team doesn't necessarily even need Tailwind, like, because Tailwind's just not good in context of XY, because a lot of XY is just big trades, and speed isn't necessarily a big deal because you can just use Thunderous and Pokemons to cover for it, as well as Fake Outs, right? And priority. Like, there's so many ways to get around Tailwind speed control in the meta that makes dropping Tailwind on Whimsicott just viable, really. Also, it's also not a meta game with dynamic speed compare. It's not like SS or Sword and Shield, or rather. Oh, wait, that's SS twice. It's not like SS and SV or Scarlet and Violet where you set Tailwind and the partner immediately goes hamburger, right? The Tailwind here is not dynamic. You have to wait for your next turn in order for it to take effect. So now, what is this set? It clicks Flamethrower. That Flamethrower is not a Choice Band move. Well, it could be, but like it's probably not because Choice Band can run Blaze Kick. So it's probably something else. It could be Choice Scarf. It's probably Choice Scarf because that's really the only thing you would assume at this point. Maybe it's Assault Vest, but that's a terrorist set in XY. It's not really used in XY. Well, you'll see later why this statement is not necessarily true, but it's not what you would assume at in the context of Week 1 XY DPL, is what I'd like to say. So it clicks Flamethrower, Hariyama gets killed by the Thunderous, and now Mega Gengar. This Mega Gengar, as we know from... We're at turn 12, right? As we know from the show team, it is HP Fire. I thought of everything, I know, right? However, unfortunate events will occur in this otherwise magnificent game of XY. Thunderous, Thunderwave on Gengar. Paralyzed. This HP Fire should kill, I'm pretty sure. Let us look at the calculator right now. Yanisek Choice Scarf. Yep, it always kills even with 0 special attack. Oh, not with Naive. Let's get rid of Naive. It always kills on 0 defense and rather 0 HP investment. Yanisect. Oh, yeah. Right, so... And we've also seen that it's revealed Choice Scarf because, well, Genesect faster than Gengar. As mentioned, XY does not have dynamic speed, so this Thunder Wave from Thunderous did not immediately take effect. It should be, if this wasn't Scarf, this should still be faster this turn. So yeah, basically revealed Choice Scarf. Fun fact, QSNS told me that this was Assault Vest in our PMs. So basically, we can then see that QSNS is a filthy liar. So, okay, so this happened. Sucks, but we can always try next turn, right? This King Shield is basically... I don't think you can click King Shield, by the way, into Encore Whimsicott. Don't do that. You have to attack, basically. It is what it is, I guess. Paralyzed again, as Whimsicott clicks Fake Tears into this Mega Gengar and then flamethrowering it. And now, yeah, this happens. Tough. My teammate, Single Thunder, got kind of screwed over here by the magnificent move that is Thunder Wave. Fuck. Thunderous. And I suppose that's the game. It was a good game either way still. Sucks that it kind of got marred by this Thunder Wave shenanigans. However, Mons is Mons. And now we're going to basically look at the context of Mega Gengar right now. This is basically what you can assume Mega Gengars to be. I suppose I can't really say with certainty, but most Mega Gengar users probably will be bulky Mega Gengars. This is a set that I'm pretty sure I don't think this isn't EV'd for Choice Band Talent Flame. It takes more defense than this. I'm pretty sure this is EV'd for like, let's say Landorus T. Why am I caps locked, by the way? And this is like Scarf, right? Doubles. And -1. No, it's not. What the fuck was this EV'd for? The hell was this EV'd for, by the way? It's EV'd for something, I know. Huh. Oh yeah, it is for BB. Yeah, it is for straight up. It's straight up for Brave Bird. So 225228, and with basically you can just slide her around if you want, or outrun like Mens. You go like, actually you need this, right? So yeah, that Mens is Mega Mens is 375. You can basically do this, and Pitching. Okay, now you know my speed creep. Fuck this. Whatever. And you can also just slide her around to like 350 is like, I'm pretty sure 350 is base 110s, which notably includes Mega Diancie, a very relevant Pokemon in the metagame right now. You can also just go 354 for max speed Thundurus, and basically just zoop, or you can just put zoop or something like that. Do whatever you want. But you basically can assume that Mega Gengars will be bulky because staying alive is pretty important for like maximizing the amount of terms you have for living, right? So you can get more from Shadow Tag. And instead of running a lot of special attack, it instead uses it can use a slew of coverage moves. For example, Energy Ball, really nice for comps that can have trouble dealing with Gastrodon, such as this team. It would really like Gastrodon gone with Landorus Eye, Aegislash, Thundurus, and Talonflame, right? Having Gastrodon gone would have been really nice. It can also run HP Ice to deal with Landorus Eye, possibly Landorus T. It can also deal with Mega Salamence. Shadow Ball, of course, a stab move, also good for Aegislash. Sludge Bomb, a really nice stab move in general. It's good for hitting Mega Kangaskhan, and also the poison chance is actually good enough that you can just spamming the move and then getting a random poison right after. It's actually decently common enough, and yeah, it's also just great value in general as a move. So it can also just run Taunt, Sub, what else can it disable, as we've seen with Whimsicott. It can also run some Ice Wind sometimes, however this does miss the kill on some key targets, so I really don't recommend it. But yeah, those are the moves that it often runs. It's also often bulky. Of course, max special attack is also possible, but on average, if you're playing a Mega Gengar and XY DOU, it is probably going to be bulky. Okay, so that is the first game, the first highlight game that we have. That took 22 minutes. Fuck me. Okay, we're gonna speed this up. Well, it was a good game to spend 22 minutes on anyway, so who cares, right? Anyway, so this is the next game that we have also on week 1, Senior Voltix versus Nadando, which is Ned numbers in this replay. So, Voltix is using Redirection plus CM Mega Gardevoir. I'm just assuming CM because that's all they always are. If you're not using CM on Mega Gardevoir, what are you doing? Just run Mega Diancie at that point. And Ned here is using Standard Rain. I really don't like, if you're running Redirection, especially solo Redirection with Mega Gardevoir, it really should be Among Us. Why? Well, this is because Among Us it lets you cover the rain matchup by having Energy Ball into Mega Swampert. Why does this matter? It's because Mega Swampert is a really strong physical attacker that can hit through the redirection support that the Mega Gardevoir comps often have. Having a way to just completely obliterate Mega Swampert is really important for the rain matchup. So having solo Mega Blastoise as your redirector of choice is... I wouldn't necessarily say it's optimal. In fact, this Voltix team does get obliterated by Mega Swampert really hard, and especially in the context of, especially in addition to the other rain, to the other threats in this rain team, right? Like this team also has to deal with Muddy Water. It also has to deal with Brave Birds. In fact, look at Voltix team right now: 0 flying resists on sight. Also, only, well, it's not like most teams have electric resists anyway, but this Thundurus also does, it also can do some pretty big damage with Thunder. In the context of rain, Thundurus is often offensive because if all it really needs to do is just spam Ray Dance against opposing rain, or rather opposing weather, and then click Thunder against like stuff like Volcanion, lol. So yeah, and also act as of course, as a flying resist against opposing Talonflame. So yeah, looking at it from this team preview, I'd really say that Ned is favored into Voltix because their threats are just generally so good into Voltix's team. Voltix's defensive backbone not really matching up well. And let us get on with the game. Mega Gardevoir lead plus Blastoise. How does this contest? Mega Evolution with Swampert here. Fun fact, Mega Evolving with Mega Swampert in XY does actually take, like, it does have, whatchamacallit, dynamic speed. So, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the case. It's the only Mega Evolution that's able to have dynamic speed, which, right? Yeah, it's the only Mega Evolution that's able to have dynamic speed. Because you taking advantage of the Swift Swim immediately, so this Mega Swampert should be faster than this Mega Gardevoir. However, Ned opts Protect, understandable, fair enough, does not want to click EQ. Pretty sure I didn't cap. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't cap it. This really should have been faster. Probably afraid of, like, Scald or something, I don't know. Thunderous. Then the guy switches out. Voltix also switching in to their Intimidate Pokemon. Stealth Rock, yeah, Swampert can run this, by the way. It's like Waterfall, Earthquake, then a random third move. Sometimes Ice Punch can be superpower for Ferrothorn, can be Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock being a good enough move to punish Volcanion. So, now, this happens. Hard Talonflame onto the Mega Gardevoir, understandable. It's like, oh, I click back. Like, Choice Band Talonflame can often just runs 252 HP, maybe it runs some speed, and then, but it's still fat. It's often just get some speed, then dump HP, of course, max attack, of course, right? So yeah, switches into that Hyper Voice, takes it like a champ. Of Swampert taking 52 from Hyper Voice under threat of 2 HKO. However, this Gardevoir probably doesn't die to Earthquake. However, does it not die? I'm pretty sure it should. Yeah, it shouldn't die, I assume. So this Mega Blastoise should be able to click FM for the Brave Bird and stuff, you know. However, that crit sucks. That crit sucks. And now, like, Talonflame is then able to, BB the Blastoise, and with the Blastoise going down, the Swampert then is able to Waterfall onto the Mega Gardevoir. And that crit didn't matter in the context of that sequence, as it should still be KO'd by the Talonflame even if it didn't get crit. I'm not sure if it would die to non-crit Brave Bird into -1 Brave Bird after a Scrafty switch, which would then enable Voltix to Scald. I CPA to Calc though, come on. So yeah, this is what happened. Scrafty takes that Waterfall, it does take it like a champ. Eject button onto Genesect. Genesect able to E-speed the Talonflame down. However, this Talonflame is also just easily able to switch out. This Genesect also is pinning the Swampert here. If it's Choice Band, is it actually pinning Swampert? Let's check. Let's check if it does. Blah 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 blah. Genesect, Choice, Genesect. It doesn't actually. It doesn't actually pin since it's not attack boost. So, yeah, I don't know why that switched out. Maybe this Genesect simply had too much aura because it's like it does like 39 to 46 on 0 HP. This is at 48, so this Mega Swampert could have stayed in if it really wanted. However, it was also at -2, so fair enough. E-speed taking the Talonflame down. Landorus Eye egoing the Swampert. I'm pretty sure this should still. Does this still die? It can live, I think, actually. Like, let's look over Landorus Eye Cock into Rain versus -2 Mega Swampert. Yeah, oh, this isn't even Mega. Hello? Yeah, this really would have taken nothing from that E-speed, by the way. Also, Yeah, it could have lived, actually, so... Actually, it's a roll. But Ned simply didn't want to risk it, I guess. Getting into this position where Kingdra is able to just click Muddy Water / Hydro Pump with Reckless Abandon. I would click Hydro Pump like a dick. Understandably, Muddy Water is still fine. And Spore onto the Volcanion. Yeah, this game at this point is donezo, especially if this is Hydro Pump. Yeah, goodbye, Genesect. And Rage Powder for nobody because it's sleeping, right? And Genesect +2 E-Speed versus +2, and I'm talking in priority brackets, by the way, not the attack raise. E-Speed +2 in Prio, faster than the +2 Rage Powder because same Prio bracket, faster Mon goes faster, right? So the E-Speed is able to ignore the redirection attempt. Nadando can easily just protect and go to Toad here. If this is eject and gets hit, it's even more terrible for Voltix. However, yeah, it's not eject. However, it's still pretty screwed up. Hydro Pump should be clicked here. Muddy Water instead, fine, no problem. Well, actually, it doesn't. I don't think it needs to click Hydro Pump, right? Like, I forgot which move is more important. Rather, not more important. Which move is more accurate? I don't. Muddy Water or Hydro Pump. Yeah. That's not accuracy, by the way. Why am I looking at there? I'm a dumbass. Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump is 80 and Muddy Water is 85. So yeah, Muddy Water is a better click in that position because Muddy Water still kills the Landorus Eye, and it should also kill the Mega Gardevoir after Rocks. This Volcanion is at 100% anyway, so like giving it Water Absorb does not matter in the slightest. Scald, yeah, this Volcanion has 150% HP at this point, if only. Should click Protect with the Landorus, clicks Protect with the Kingdra. Yeah, that's fair enough. It doesn't exactly matter anymore. This position is donezo. Scald and the Volcanion wakes up, Steam Eruptions, however, it's done, bro. Draco Meteor is gonna do like 50, 63 actually with Helping Hand and Life Orb. That's Assault Vest Volcanion, obviously. Demonic Pokemon really, however, it cannot do anything more into this Rain Team. Earthquake will finish it off, and finishing it off with style does Nadando, taking this win for week 1. Rain versus Mega Gardevoir. The Mega Gardevoir team's defensive backbone not really holding up. And now we are going to the week 2 games, which is here, Single Thunder versus Arctic Blast. Arctic Blast and Single Thunder, I don't know. I ran out of things to say. Never mind. Okay, and we are going to, yeah, actually, I forgot to like highlight the Mega Gardevoir sets. Mega Gardevoir sets are often like really fat, really defensive. Even with the redirection support, even like it often runs 2 redirectors, right? It's like Blastoise, Among Us. It used to run Togekiss, not anymore though. I think it's still good, but whatever. But yeah, they still often run max Fizz Def, and this is because of priority. Particularly from Choice Band E-Speed Genesect. That Pokemon, of course, as I mentioned earlier, that Pokemon earlier, as I mentioned, it has Extreme Speed, which is +2 in priority bracket. E-Speed shares a priority bracket with redirection moves such as Rage Powder and Unfollow Me, so they let Genesect ignore this redirection and hit Mega Gardevoir directly, which of course really hurts because CBG E-Speed, especially with +1 attack boost, it really hits hard. So most Mega Gardevoir often opt into a lot of defense investment. Also, investing for Landorus T Earthquake is also really nice in general. So they often do this, plus also run Intimidate support in most Mega Gardevoir redirection comps. Like, sometimes you'll see Scrappy, most of the time we'll see Landorus T, and this is in addition to their redirection support. So, and also, yeah, this is pretty much the set, essentially always calm mind, because, well, this is the reason you run multiple redirections for it. It's to build into this a boosted, really strong special attacker in the context of the metagame. Also, just spamming hyper voice, really strong as fuck move. Psyshock, Mega Gardevoir often runs Psyshock over Psychic, and this is because it's better into Assault Vest. Volcanion, even though Volcanion also has fat defense, Assault Vest Volcanion ends up having more SPDF overall. I'm not actually sure if it's better than compared to Psychic into Assault Vest Volcanion. Let's actually check for the sake of science. But there's also a bunch of other stuff, essentially like, whatchamacallit, Assault Vest Pokemon. It's also nice into CM Sylveon compared to like Psychic, actually. That's the main thing that it used to run Psyshock for, now that I mentioned it. But for the sake of science, let's check if which one is stronger, Psyshock or Psychic. Why am I not right? Well, doesn't exactly matter, but whether or not I'm checking with Mega, right? But for the sake of accuracy, let's check with Psychic or Psyshock. And yes, Psyshock does more into Assault Vest Volcanion overall because of how much SPDF Assault Vest Volcanion ends up having. So it's for this and CM Sylveon. However, CM Sylveon not necessarily a big threat anymore in the context of the current metagame, but still, it is what it is. So yeah, these are the moves that it runs, and then let's head on over to the third set, which does feature this very interesting Heatran set. So yeah, Single Thunder versus Arctic Blast, double fire into double steel. Obviously, the advantage is on Single Thunder right off the bat. Let's head on over to the game. Conkeldurr lead into Mega Kangaskhan as expected. Gastrodon also really strong into the Lander's Eye because it can just Ice Beam. Fake Out from Kangaskhan essentially expected onto the Conkeldurr because it's essentially free. Conkeldurr not a known Rocky Helmet Pokemon. It often runs Assault Vest instead. Ice Beam under the Lander's Eye slot as expected. Landers switching in onto the Conkeldurr slot, taking both of these hits like a champ. Earth Power for Chip, insignificant in the grand scheme, really. Like 27, it's not insignificant, but it's kind of nothing. but in the context of Single Thunder spamming heat waves later on, that 27 actually will matter. So also this Landorus T again took those hits like a champ. Mega Kangaskhan's toss into CB Genesect, though not +1. Neutral CB Iron Hand devoured, and then it also reveals to be faster than this Genesect right here, revealing that it's also Scarf, which would then baffle Arctic Blast, as they will show in this chat logs. Max HP Scarf, indeed, Arctic Blast. That is, of course, another one of my creations. Again, if you didn't know, Single Thunder, my teammate. However, we will not be totally revealing this particular team by Single Thunder because Single Thunder, at the very least, did not reveal this one. So yeah, Thundurus coming in onto the field in this board. Genesect locked onto Iron Head against now 2 resistant mons. Forced to switch out into their SPDF, Aegislash. Well, I assume it's SPDF. They're all SPDF at this point. Well, they can also still be like 252 HP, 252 SPA with like safety goggles, but I digress. Most people will respect that it's SPDF first before it's the other one. Protect on Thundurus, by the way, that's actually pretty important. Protect on Thundurus essentially reveals that it's 252 speed. And this is because bulky Thundurus often don't run Protect. So if it reveals Protect, you can assume that it's offensive. And if it's offensive, you can assume that it's the variant that aims to outrun Mega Diancies in order to Thunderbolt them, or even worse, Flash Cannon them. So this particular sequence happens, blah 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 blah. Volcanion comes into the switch up from Single Thunder, very well played by them. Thunderbolt into the Volcanion, HP Ice, or rather, instead of HP Ice, which it did last turn. Very, very well played by Single Thunder right there. Ice Beam, of course, still covering the option of Thunderous staying in, which is fine. Like, Thunderbolt versus HP Ice on Thunderous is like, it's not really a big difference in power, so you can basically just switch up between the two moves if you're just thundering, or if you're just trying to hit Thunderous without much consideration of switch-ins. So yeah. And this Aegislash reveals that it is Substitute. Substitute is more often than not to be Spidef, so Arctic Blast then essentially revealing the set in this position. Also, yeah, Leftovers. Leftovers also reveals that the fact that it's Spidef. So yeah, like Aegislash with Spidef is often Leftovers. Because this lets it do the actual... It lets it better do the actual walling that it's able to do, essentially. Thunderbolt for the kill onto the Volcanion, Gastrodon Earth powering the sub away, Aegislash clicking, Tox onto this Gastrodon JK, it just clicks Shadow Ball. That Shadow Ball, even while uninvested, is still really, really strong. This is what makes, actually, like, Spidef Aegislash very, very good as a set in general, even though you're not really investing into its special attack. Against the frailer targets into the metagame, such as Offensive Thunderous, Mega Diancie, what else am I thinking of? Genesect, I suppose. Shadow Ball from Aegislash is still really, really strong because it has 150 natural special attack. That's really high still. Like, let's check the damage with the damage calc right now, actually. Oh my god, I butchered Aegislash right there. Oh, whatever, man. Aegislash into Genesect. Choice Scarf, that's... Man, it doesn't even matter what set I put on there. And let's get rid of that. Yeah, it still does 55 if it's quiet. If you really want the max Spidef, it still does 50. It's still a 2 HKO onto uninvested no bulk investment Genesect. So yeah, Spidef Aegislash, really, really good. Let's check the damage on Mega Diancie. Oh, I changed the wrong one. Whatever. Still 51 with plus special attack, 47 without special attack. However, Mega Diancie does run 2 HP occasionally. Oh, I wouldn't say occasionally. It's like, you probably should assume that Mega Diancie is 252 HP before it reveals its damage, right? Well, that's a different tangent entirely, but yeah, that's something to keep in mind when facing Mega Diancie if ever you opt into playing XY. Whatever, let's get back onto the main topic, which is this game right here. Aegislash, eating hits up like a champ. Genesect probably clicking E-Speed right now onto this Thunderous. It does. Thunderous goes down. Gastrodon trying to recover off the a possible U-turn onto by the Genesect. Fails, and now Single Thunder opts to go into Mega Charizard instead. Mega Charizard instead. Single Thunder does have a Heatran Choice Scarf. Well, I know it's Choice Scarf because I told the team, and it also will reveal Choice Scarf anyway, right? But I suppose in the context of this position, Single Thunder doesn't really want the Heatran to get paralyzed by Thunderous, right? Because Arctic Blast can just be a dick and T-Wave a Heatran for fun, I suppose. That's one way to describe it. But yeah, Arctic Blast can just do that, and Single Thunder recognizing that a Scarf Heatran spamming Heat Wave into this composition, especially in the sun, right? It can basically just win from there. So they instead go on to Charizard in order to basically force something and also activate the sun, of course. Like, you could say that maybe they could Single Thunder could afford to let Heatran get paralyzed. However, that really is on the assumption that Landorus Eye is not Rock Slide, because if you switch in, because if you let Zard take on the Thunderous instead of Heatran, right? That means, or rather, okay, let's clarify this thought. If you send Heatran here, Thunderous is going to paralyze the Heatran. This Heatran could still do good, but this would leave you with non-paralyzed Zardwai instead, which would then have to be the one that deals with the Landorus Eye. And if this Landorus Eye is Rock Slide, well, it's Jover. However, if instead it's this Heatran, it's this Scarf Heatran dealing with Landorus Eye instead, it doesn't necessarily have to fear Rock Slide. And it's also faster because Choice Scarf Heatran obviously faster than Landorus Eye. Zardwai not faster than Landorus Eye is the main thing here. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Zard protecting against E-Speed. Thunderous again, offensive Thunderous, probably faster than this Charizard or Y right here. Single Thunder also probably recognizes this, tries to Ice Beam this offensive Thunderous to no avail. And now, basically, Zard is going to get sacked in order to activate the Sun with Drought. Charizard, Single Thunder, not opting to Mega the Zard here immediately is actually possibly quite impactful, because they could, Single Thunder, they could end up relying on the Sun turns from Heatran, so having one more extra Sun turn is going to be valuable. So yeah, this happens. Charizard gets traded off. Gastrodon Ice Beams the Thunderous. Goodbye Zardwai. However, this Thunderous will not be dying. 10% now. Conkeldurr will try to finish this Thunderous off. E-Speed from the Genesect onto the Conkeldurr. Double target, does not opt into Mach Punch. Instead takes T-Bolt, instead trying to drain the Genesect. Fair enough. Thunderous Eye should die. It needs to die here. And now, a possible path to victory emerges with Choice Scarf Heatran heat waving all four of these Pokemon. In particular with Conkeldurr doing the chip damage onto Mega Kangaskhan and Landorus Eye, I suppose. Gastrodon also being able to pin the Landorus Eye with Ice Beam as well. So, Conkeldurr here gets finished off. The necessary chip for Heat Wave happens with Gastrodon Earth Power. Heatran onto the field. Heat Wave will be clicked here. Does Gastrodon recover? It can afford to do so if it wants. Will it Ice Beam? Earth Power gets clicked. I think if Single Thunder wanted this cleaner, they honestly could have just clicked recover there, because Landorus Eye is not really switching, I think, into a Sun boosted Heat Wave, and of course Aegislash not coming in onto a Heat Wave. However, is there a world where Arctic Blast could finesse an Aegislash sack into a Kangaskhan fake out with something else? I'm thinking about it now. Like, like if on this turn, Arctic Blast goes onto Aegislash and goes into Landorus Eye. The Landorus Eye will live the Sun boosted Heat Wave because of spread damage, of spread reduction, right? It can easily just live that. It's going to live at 1 HP, so maybe Gastrodon did need to Ice Beam there, because like if Landorus into Aegislash dies, Arctic Blast that then gets a fake out onto the Heatran into an Earth Power, with Heatran here unable to click Protect because obviously it's a Scarfer, right? So maybe Gastrodon did need the Ice Beam there, who knows? It's a tough play to make though. So yeah, that's one possible line that Arctic Blast could have finessed this, especially recognizing that Aegislash probably not winning versus Heatran and Gastrodon anyway, right? So yeah, instead this particular sequence happens. Genesect dies to Rocky Helmet, Ice Beam. Gastrodon didn't even click Earth Power, actually. I don't know. I think Earth Power was wrong, by the way. It had to click Ice Beam for Landorus Eye switch in. because it's not like these Pokemon cared about chip damage anyway. At this point, you're only really covering the Landorus Eye switch in with Gastrodon if you're not clicking recovery yourself. So yeah. This sequence happens. Not wide guard. Aegislash can be wide guard, like yeah, we're gonna highlight two sets here, right? So Spadef Aegislash can be wide guard, could also just be Subtox, could be any amount of moves really, but wide guard lets you just click wide guard, wide guard over and over against heat waves, right? As well as earthquakes from Landorus T, basically a bunch of moves that can end up being annoying. It also lets you click wide guard into Diamond Storm as well, right? So yeah. However, this clicking KS here instead of wide guard essentially reveals that it's not wide guard, right? And yeah, sub plus wide guard actually is plausible. I think it's one of the it's one of the less likely permutations of moves, but it is possible nevertheless. Heat Wave does 80. It does live, as I mentioned. Heatran dies, Ice Beam onto the Landorus Eye as expected, and now it's a duel between Gastrodon and Aegislash. This Gastrodon often not really Spadef, often more Fizdef because it's mostly dealing with Gastrodon, right? Or rather with Genesect, right? Genesect U-turns. It doesn't really need Spadef to wall Volcanion because it's a water type that also ignores Steam Eruption with its ability. The crit, I'm pretty sure, actually mattered-ish. Well, Gastrodon is faster, so I don't think it actually mattered. Let's say Aegislash got a sub, and this Earth Power is dealing like 44, 45, 46. Yeah, actually 46. It's dealing like 46 because 1.5, right? So it did 23 extra. So it deals like 46. ICBA thinking of the math right now. As we know, Aegislash just won, or rather, Aegislash just lost on a Gastrodon, and that's what happened. And yeah, these are the key sets that we really want to look in the context of this game, especially as well as in this meta, right? Like Choice Scarf Heatran. Why did Single Thunder use Choice Scarf Heatran? Well, aside from I told them to use it, of course, right? But yeah, why did Single Thunder use this? And this is because Choice Scarf Heatran is a particularly interesting Pokemon in the XY DOU metagame right now. Fire resists outside of Volcanion are really not hot. Nobody really runs any dragons aside from Megamens, right? You'll see the odd dragon resists now and then, but yes, teams do not run fire resists at all, so spamming fire moves with Heatran, especially with sun boosted Heatran, is actually an interestingly good strategy. Also, it's a fire type that's not weak to rocks. First of all, it resists E-Speed from Genesect, it resists Brave Bird from Talonflame, so it's basically resistant to the typical ways of pinning offensive Pokemon in the metagame, which is with priority, right? It's also a Fairy Resist for M-Guard. It's good in this Spadef Aegislash, obviously, especially ones that don't run Wide Guard because obviously it's just a fire type. At most, the only popular thing that's in for modern XY right now that it really dislikes is actually Conkeldurr, but Conkeldurr isn't necessarily a hard threat to deal with, especially if you're spamming fire moves against its team with Zard Y. Conkeldurr can't stomach all those sun-boosted fire attacks, not alone. And most teams often use Conkeldurr as their defensive backbone. And if the backbone itself is getting overwhelmed, well, that opens up a lot for these offensive teams. So the idea of Heatran plus Zard Y here just spamming attacks and Heatran itself being a good meta call is basically what went into the creation of this team as a concept. And of course, another thing that I want to highlight is Aegislash. Of course, to the uninitiated, I'll explain why people use Sped F Aegislash. Sped F Aegislash, pretty unkillable. Why do people also use Aegislash in general, even if it's not Sped F? It's really good into Deoxys speed. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this earlier in the video, but it's been so long. It's been like, yeah, it's almost an hour in this video at this point. So yeah, I may have mentioned it earlier and I just forgot. But yeah, strong into Mega Kangaskhan. Really, as Mega Kangaskhan plus Deoxys speed. Strong into Genesect, has to force it into Flamethrower / Blaze Kick, and you can just punish that with a King Shield. What else? Strong into Mega Diancie, which is also a popular Pokemon right now because of Deoxys S. Mega Diancie is pretty good because it has Magic Bounce that prevents Deoxys speed from just setting Stealth Rock insta. And it's also a good Pokemon in general because it punishes Volcanion as well as Thundurus and forces Thundurus, and it's also the Pokemon that forced all the Thundurus in the meta to basically go max speed in order to punish it. Well, not every Thundurus, but a good amount of Thundurus basically. And yeah, Aegislash is in general really good. It's unkillable and has great matchups into the metagame. It also, these are the moves that it often runs aside from King Shield, of course. It can run Shadow Ball. It runs Sneak sometimes. I hate it. I think it sucks, but people do run Sneak on this, so I suppose that's something you have to respect on it. But yeah, I think it sucks. They do run Substitute, as we've seen in the game. They do run Wide Guard. And it also doesn't necessarily have to be Sped F. It can also just run 252 HP, 252 SPA with Safety Goggles and Flash Cannon in order to punish teams that run Mega Diancie plus Among Us. And also, Aegislash in general with Safety Goggles is a really good Pokemon to send into Among Us, because it's also strong enough to punish most Among Us partners. So yeah, these are the moves that it often runs, and we can then head on over. Why does Genesis? Oh, this is because that's because of the other set that people kept running that I think sucks. Whatever, that's a topic for later. Now we are heading on over onto this game by Laptops versus Voltix, also week 2. Senior Voltix making a return versus Laptops, the first game by them that we're looking over. They're also using two, I think, personal opinion, two Pokemon that I think kind of suck. Mega Salamence, I think it blows, and Sylveon, I think it kind of blows. It doesn't blow as much as Sylveon, but I think it still sucks because Sylveon is not really good into Aegislash, and it's also not really good into Genesect, and yeah, and Laptops in particular will have to deal with the Aegislash on Voltix side right now. The Diancie on Voltix's side also really looking good into Laptops' team because Laptops' team does not have any rock resists whatsoever. So Salamence and Amoonguss lead into Kangaskhan plus Landorus T lead. Whatever, it's pretty Like, honestly, there's not much that really happened in this game that seemed pretty interesting. The teams themselves, look, they're cool enough for DPL, but there really isn't much talking points with regards to this team except for the stuff that happens, I guess. Like, this is a pretty average exchange that's happening right now. Hyper Voice gets click. Kangaskhan now under threat of being KO'd. However, if Salamence opts attack, Voltix is essentially opting into the trade with HP Ice in return. Rage Powder, of course, Rage Powder, of course, able to prevent this particular trade as mentioned. However, this Thundurus also could have easily just been Safety Goggles, so yeah, this could have easily just taken out the Mega Salamence. Double Edge onto the Volcanion does practically nothing. And yes. Trades. HP Ice on... Yeah, that is HP Ice, right? Yeah, HP Ice on the Diancie. switches happen. Voltix clicks Diamond Storm. Laptops click Spore into the most obvious safety goggles ever seen ever. And the Sylveon is essentially get beaten down by Diamond Storm DNC. Again, we need to highlight Laptops' team 0 rock resists. However, this should click Protect, right? It doesn't click Protect. 0 ego from Voltix's side. This was just Spored, right? Come on, Voltix, come on, have some ego. Like, you can... It's not clicking Spore onto the Among Us slot, right? You just have to fear Energy Ball. I would have egoed, by the way. And it's not like Mega Salamence is good into this team. Like, at most, you only really needed Mega Salamence for Sylveon, because its Double Edge actually punishes Sylveon really hard. So yeah, you could have easily clicked Protect and then had DNC clicking D-Storm and Salamence clicking Dedge onto the Among Us, or rather, it could actually just click Hyper Voice and get the kill, right? It doesn't actually kill this, but right. But like, I guess I get taking this kill right away, before Sylveon is able to actually wake up. I guess opting into getting this kill securely before Sylveon gets randomly out of hand, I think it's fair enough, right? So yeah, forgivable, I guess. I guess Voltix did do the right thing. Whatever. I'm bad. Okay, Salamence, it really should just... I would have edged. But I'm pretty sure this clicks... Yeah, it does actually click a edge. Good. So, Landorus T... I would have went like Aegislash, really, personally. Like, nobody EQs here with Landorus T, and this was a fairly safe switch. And Taunted Among Us, it's not doing anything onto the field. You just really want to take tempo by having as much good Pokemon onto the field as possible, and Among Us Taunted is not a good Pokemon. Like, Voltix could have went Aegi here instead of Giga Drain, and then switched out Megamens into Among Us, which has Rocky Helmet. This particular slot being the only slot that this Kangaskhan is able to target, that would have been a much better sequence for Voltix, I think. Instead, this particular sequence happens. Gastrodon onto Volcania, unfortunate sequence of events for Voltix. However, now I'm pretty sure Voltix has a problem here. This Volcanion is always getting a kill onto this slot. Actually, is it? Like, I'm pretty sure I looked into the sequence earlier, actually. This was the particularly interesting part of this turn, because as Voltix, you have to consider that whatever Mon you switch in here is possibly taking an HP Ice from Thundurus. Whatever Pokemon you send out here is also possibly taking a Heat Wave / Overheat from the Volcanion. So basically, you have no switch-ins onto this slot as Voltix. And basically, you have to let the Among Us die. Gastrodon would have been your switch-in onto those moves otherwise if it was in the bench instead of the field, but them's the breaks. So this sequence happens, Overheat kills the Among Us, and goodbye Among Us from Voltix's side. Gastrodon fails to even get the kill onto the Volcanion because AV Volcanion is not a balanced Pokemon. Trades, Hyper Voice onto the Among Us fails because it protects, and that Hyper Voice onto the Thundurus does nothing, which... The fact that this is stunt also basically confirmed that it was defensive, or rather specially defensive in this case. Like, the fact that this was bulky was revealed like a decade ago, so... yeah, just something I'd wanted to mention. Because fast Thundurus often does not run Taunt because basically it can't fit it. It needs T-Bolt, it probably needs HP Ice for Landorus Eye, it probably wants Flash Cannon for Mega DNC, of course it wants Thunder Wave. Maybe fast Thundurus can't drop T-Wave, but that's insane of an idea, right? However, it can do that if it really wanted, but I digress. Anyway, Aegislash on Voltix's side gets paralyzed. Aegislash on Voltix's side, clicking. I don't think Sneak is good, but it does get the Volcanion kill here, which is, I suppose it's really nifty, because otherwise this slot would have died to an overheat. Well, not died. I'm pretty sure Aegislash takes that. Like, let's calc this actually. Double specialty defensive overheat versus Aegislash. Aegislash, blah 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 blah. Aegislash boat Spidef. Let's not Spidef. Yeah, it munches, eats this up like a snack. I mean, still a bad hit to take for Voltix, but Also, if this got parried, I would have laughed my ass off while it tried to sneak, and thus sending it into blade form. Like, come on, man. Yeah, I don't think Shadow Sneak is good because most people switch in Landorus T onto this anyway, right? Because most Landorus T are Spidef anyway. I assume they are. Because they don't really need Fizdef because of Intimidate, and intimidating Aegislash's Shadow Sneak happens without the Landorus T player even intending it. So, and also I really can't think of any targets that Shadow Sneak hits. Like Mega Gengar, I guess, but nobody really runs Mega Gengar. Well, we did see a mirror, but that's really an anomaly. Nobody runs Mega Gengar much. It's not really something you have to go out of your way to prep for, and yeah, I really can't think of any targets. Mew, I guess? I don't know. Anyway, this happens. Spidef Aegislash taking that T-Bolt like it was a snack. Anyway, 50. This is bulky Thunderous T-Bolt onto Spidef. Into Spidef Aegislash. That Aegislash essentially takes nothing. Spore onto Gastrodon. Yeah. Aegislash subs. However, this will be tough for Voltix to deal with because this Thunderous T is rather this Thunderous I very hard to deal with. Aegislash Shadow Ball. Thunderous eats that up like a feast. Citrus is back up into a range of HP that's annoying for Voltix because it does not die from this upcoming toxic. From this upcoming toxic tick rather. And now, Voltix this is fast and Spidef, by the way. I just realized. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to have Spidef. It could just be 252 HP, right? yeah, it could easily just be that. In fact, you can expect some Thunderous to just be that max HP, max Spidef, because if it's Flash Cannon, it doesn't need SPA investment to kill Mega Diancie anyway. So yeah, that is a nascent possibility. However, that is... It's not Flash Cannon, but that's kind of a tangent at this point. Thunderous faster than this Landorus I. HP ices it into 92%. Psychic onto the Thunderous, and then this Among Us basically sleeps this Landorus I. Voltix trying to make something happen with Spidef Aegislash. KS. Rage Powder. Takes out the sleeping Landorus I. Protect from the Mega Salamence, opting to not Hyper Voice. Fair enough. And what set is this? Did this reveal? I don't know. I also don't care because it's gonna reveal right now that it is indeed Choice Scarf getting the faster Stone Edge. And now, even though Hyper Voice from Mens gets both kills here, Mega Kangaskhan sent out. Laptop sends out the GGs. Protect from Mega Salamence. Laptops, interestingly enough, opts to Sucker Punch the Aegislash. It's not even able to hit this Mega Kangaskhan because it has 2 Ghost moves and no Toxic despite being Substitute. Why did Laptops do that? It's a flex, I suppose. But, I mean, okay, I actually did think of the sequence for this. Like, I thought for a moment... this is actually the reason why I included this game because of this endgame. Did Laptops need to do that? Like, target this Aegislash and immediately take it out before before shit happens, basically, because because if this isn't a fire move, for example, if this isn't Fire Blast or Fire Punch, either of the two, there is a world where where Voltix can just run this out of Sucker Punches. However, laptops can also just like fake out spam, like it can spam all its other moves before it has to click Sucker Punch, or before Aegislash runs out of subs and KSs, right? Something like that. I don't know. I really don't want to think about this any further, but that is an interesting scenario to think about. I forgot the conclusion that I came to when I was thinking about this before I started recording, because it's been an hour at this point. Fuck me. Oh, whatever it is. Feel free to talk about this in the comments. That's engagement for you. And now we can head on over to the week 3 games. There's 3 games left, by the way. It's actually, yeah, it's this game by Senior. Why did I include? Oh, whatever. I included this game for a mysterious reason, I suppose. Wait, why is Kinger here? Whatever. Why did I include this game? I mean, it's not like it's a bad game. There are no bad games in DPL, by the way, though. So I don't know why I'm implying that, but did anything happen here? It's just I'm pretty sure this just was cut and dry all around. Well, there is a Stealth Rocks view, but come on, this is kind of to be expected for TMU, right? It's going to be a hazard setter a la DOS, but more more tricky. It has fake out, right? And maybe other moves like Snar, Willow, Transform, I guess, but whatever. It does opt into using the one of the annoying moves, as mentioned. That were mentioned. Gengar coming in onto the field. Snarl. Trades. Oh, exploded. That's El Bandido, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's banned because it dealt 85 to Mew. Fair enough, fair play to him. Or rather, fair play to Yuichi. Talonflame actually at the right HP in order to not go down to 50 to Salt Rocks. At least you got that one right. Oh, Shadow Ball onto the Mew to take it out. Flare Blitz onto the Aegislash that clicks KS. It's a sad day for everyone involved. Is this Gengar HP Ice? No, it is not. And the Talonflame says goodbye because it's not max speed. Talonflame not really max. CB Talonflames often not running max speed. Well, doesn't necessarily have to be CB. But most Talonflames don't really need to run max speed because they're mostly just clicking BB anyway, right? It never revealed its item because it attacked into a protect. I assume if it wasn't CB, it would have tried to BB the Mens because obviously, right? But it is what it is. It didn't get to do anything and it died to the Mega Salamence. That's obviously much faster than it. Shadow Ball onto the Gengar side. I remember why I included this game. It's because this asshole laptops isn't an asshole. This Aegislash also isn't an asshole. I don't know why I used that word. That's very rude. This edge kills Stummingus, by the way, as expected. But laptops uses Shadow Sneak. Come on, like, why are we running this? Yeah, E-Speed does obviously a lot of damage onto the Gastrodon. This is why they run max defense, right? Yeah, it doesn't even kill, I think. Because, I mean, of course, laptops safely assuming that this is a bulky Mega Gengar that could possibly live this Shadow Sneak, but yeah, you can just Shadow Ball here if you're laptops too. Yeah, this Shadow Ball doesn't even kill with a crit because it's Spadef, and Spadef just Shadow Sneak Aegislash pisses me off, man. You guys are gonna make me cry. Well, whatever, it is what it is. let it be known, I am a Shadow Sneak Egg slash hater. I think it blows, I think it sucks, I think people should stop using it. I also might be bad, so I don't know. I digress. And next, second to the last game. Fuck this game. Oh my god, I hate this game. Oh my god, okay, so this is I hate this game for a particular reason, and it's because both of these guys are running. Where was I? Yeah, this game is particularly a highlight because both of these guys, both of them. Let's be inclusive here. Both of them are running Assault Vest Yenisek. They revealed the sets that they ran on to the Discord server or in the DPL channel that they ran Assault Vest. This is Shister's set right now. A very spedef set with 252 HP, 56 spot attack, and so much spedef, and I was like, damn. It took that much from that, like, because it took so little from something that should take much more from, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Which was interesting in its own right, but why are they both running AVG? I think it sucks! What are we trying to beat? Like, the whole reason why CBG is good in XY in the first place is because E-Speed gets around Prankster Thunderous and is able CBG is able to kill through the Prankster right before the Prankster even takes effect, before the Thunderous is able to Thunderwave anything, and AVG cuts into the power of Genesect and doesn't actually let it do that as well or as reliably, especially if we are running this much offensive investment only. We're not even getting to run like attack investment or E-Speed itself. Also, this really should be shiny, by the way. I hate what Shister is trying to do here. Like, this really should be shiny because I'm pretty, as you will see later, that it wasn't actually shiny on like Shister's side. I forgot if Shister even ran Hasty. Like, I'll just check Discord right now. You don't see it on the screen right now, but I'm checking Discord. Yeah, like, what a dickhead! Like, Shister ran quiet. Not even Hasty. At least bluff band, and you can only bluff band if you're shiny, by the way. And shiny Genesect has to be Hasty, so that's why you should be Hasty. But come on, man! Don't be a weird. Well, it's not really weirdo behavior, but it's basically kind of that. But come on, man! Let's be for real. At least bluff. At least put in the effort to bluff. I think that's at least more valuable than just revealing your set right away that you're not banded. Because if you're not shiny, you're obviously not E-Speed. If you're not E-Speed, you're obviously not banded. At least QSNS is putting in the effort to at least fake it a little, you know? Anyways, this sequence happens. If I was QSNS, I run Energy Ball on this AV Genesect. Like, with this team and this Mega Swampert matchup, yeah, I'm running E-Ball 100% of the time. I am killing Gastrodon. I am also killing Mega Swampert on the lead position. And I would have too, by the way. Did I cap by saying that Mega Swampert has the dynamic speed? Huh. I might have capped, honestly. Pretty sure this shouldn't be faster, right? Okay, I'm pretty sure I capped earlier when I mentioned a speed order thing with Rain. Oopsie, my bad. Yeah, I don't know why I misremembered this, by the way. I've built teams specifically taking into account the line where enemy Mega Swampert doesn't protect for some reason and tries to ego my like Mega Gengars into me energy balling them. I don't know why I forgot really, but yeah, if you are at this point in the video, I capped, and Mega Swampert does not take advantage of Swift Swim immediately. So Eh, it is what it is. Yes. But anyway, so yeah, that Genesect is able to U-turn. I would have gotten the kill with E-Ball, by the way. Yeah, right. Random, again, as mentioned, random E-Ball mons getting the kill onto Mega Swamperts that don't click protect. I used to build those. QSNS could have done that if they were E-Ball on this Genesect. However, this is not the case, and this Mega Swampert got off mostly scot-free. Mega Latias coming onto the field, Ice Punch onto the Landorus T, Helping Hand, it dies. Draco, Swampert dies. Fair enough trade, I'd say. Actually, I don't know if it's a fair enough trade. Well, it's not like, I don't know, like Landorus T on QSNS's side is not really doing much to Thunderous and Kingdra. It's nice into Genesect, I guess, but we already know this is Assault Vest, so it's not actually going to do much. But I guess from QSNS's perspective, this wasn't banned anyway because, well, it's not shiny, right? So they really could have sacked this Landorus T if they really so wanted, and they did. So bluff your Genesects, whatever. So yeah, this trade happens. -2 on the Latias right now, basically ignorable. Shister opting to send their AV Genesect onto the Latias, Thunderous onto the QSNS side, then comes in to avenge its fallen brother. Of course, this AVG doesn't really have to fear an attack from QSNS at this current point. However, it does get Thunder Waved. Conkeldurr taking that U-turn like it was a feast. Yeah, easily just munching that. Basically, nothing really. I don't know. I used the wrong terminology there. Whatever. Kingdra gets paralyzed. Chester not really giving a shit if this is safety goggles or not, and pays the iron price for it, because this having speed actually is kind of important for making sure Latias doesn't pin the Among Us for some reason, or stuff really. And also getting a faster Draco onto the Keldeo also would have been really nice. Instead, punished is Shister here, trying to Rage Powder a safety goggles Thunderous. QSNS trying to be nice and thunderbolting this Among Us. However, it is a double target anyway. Interestingly, this Conkeldurr is faster than this paralyzed Kingdra, which then reveals that this is not a max speed modest Kingdra. I guess it can drop speed, but like, why? Come on, man. I would personally always run max speed Kingdra just for the mirror because I'm a dick, but if you're not max speed modest on Kingdra, it basically allows certain Conkeldurr to outrun you even while paralyzed, which it does here. Like if this was Kingdra, it could have hydroed first onto this Conkeldurr right here, forced that kill, and then basically prevented the kill onto the Among Us from happening. However, that does not happen, and this is the sequence that occurs instead. Politoed goes onto the field, Thunderbolt onto the Politoed. Does it eject? It does. Onto the Thunderous. Does this Thunderous do any what does this? I'm losing my mind. Conkeldurr Drain Punch onto the Kingdra, 2 HKOs, and also munches the Muddy Water like it was a feast. Kingdra basically useless, turbo useless at this point, paralyzed, and at 28, it doesn't die from Mac, I'm pretty sure, because it is actually kind of bulky, and Conkeldurr doesn't really run offensive investment. AV Conkeldurr anyway. It's not like there's any other set really. Sometimes they run Citrus, I think that blows, but yeah. Draco from Latias does 75 onto the Thunderous. Why did that deal nothing? Probably because this is offensive, and again, I suppose offensive Thunderous on Rain, fair enough. Dodge just a Mac, but I'm pretty sure that's not doing anything to this, really. Thunderous takes the another Draco. Now at -4, this M. Latias is paralyzed. M. Latias versus paralyzed Kingdra. This Kingdra should be faster than the M. Latias. However, this Kingdra is also pinned by the Keldeo. Keldeo protects M. Latias. What does this Latias do? Nothing to actually. It doesn't click protect. However, the Kingdra also opts to not care about this Latias. I guess Shister deciding that, okay, I'll just have the Yanasek deal with the Latias instead. Fair enough. However, this Latias then trades off the Kingdra handily. Thunder from the Yanasek onto the Keldeo. Interesting enough. Interesting of a play. Helping hand onto the Yanasek, that's Assault Vest, which it will reveal after this turn because, well, it doesn't necessarily get revealed by that because Draco Meteor dealing 5 from like -6 is... was it -6? Yeah, it was -6 at this point, so I suppose it doesn't really... It's not something you would think too hard about, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. However, that Hydra missed. If this Hydra connected, we would have seen much more clearly that this was indeed Assault Vest. However, this should paint a decent enough picture because that is an HP fire. What else hidden power could it be, right? Like, fire is Bug Steel's only weakness, so HP fire, hidden power, super effective. From... granted, it's -6 special attack, right? But if we ×4 this, because it's 0.25 times 4, that's 1, right? Which is neutral SPA. Under normal conditions, this would have done 12 times 4, 48. What the fuck, right? Like, why is a Genesect taking 48 from a hidden power fire? Like, why? Huh? Like, you go like, what the hell just happened, right? Right? I'm pretty sure that's the maths, right? Like, Genesect, you would actually spontaneously combust if that happened to you. Like, let's calc. Is this right? Like, why is it? Huh? Like, it practically does nothing. We're just an Assault Vest on, and then, damn. I'm sorry, Genesect, I was not familiar with your game. But yeah, this is what Mega Latias does normally. Just insane. Whatever, man. I mean, I guess Genesect is a freaking target of random ass HP fires from like Mega Gengars from yours truly. And I don't know, like, I ran HP Fire Thunderous in B-dubs, but different format, and HP Fire there is 70 instead of 60 BP. I get, yeah. Bleh. Whatever. QSNS opting to Secret Sword instead, going like, fuck this, I'm out. The Keldeo saying goodbye to the world. And then it's a AV Genesect and AV Genesect mirror. We only know this is AV Genesect, by the way, because QSNS said so, but they indicated as such in the DPL chat, but it didn't really come up here. The fact that this is Assault Vest, but at least, again, QSNS put in the effort to fake it. And then we can heading over to the last game. There's not really much to highlight at this point. AV Genesect, I don't think it's good. If you're gonna run it, at least put in the effort to fake that it's CB at least, I think. Maybe, probably. ICBA, I'm getting out of this window. It's making me puke. Whatever, this is the last game. Arctic Blast versus Kyle Cole for week 3. And I think if you're Kyle Cole, you really should have led the Zard. Why? Because, well, the moment Arctic Blast sets rocks, which they're likely to do with Mew if it is rocks. I mean, you should assume a Mew is rocks, right? If this sets up rocks, you're kind of boned. And it does end up setting rocks, so yeah. And Zard could have led freely into this team too. Like, zero rock resists really, and I guess Arctic Blast could have led Kangaskhan into and Landorus T. However, if you're Kyle Cole, you easily could have just led Zard, Milo, or something. I don't know. Yeah, like that's what I would have. What I would have done anyway. Well, I digress. This is what we are seeing right now. These are the sequence of events. Landorus T from Kyle Cole getting knocked off. Choice Scarf revealed. It's not. It could still be a bulky set. Bulky and Scarf are not mutually exclusive, of course, as we've reviewed the other game. But, uh, and now Scrafty onto the side. Like they're also both double intimidate, by the way. And it's an unviable Scrafty mirror. What I want to say about that, I'm not really sure, but it is what it is. Yes, I hope both of these players run into a Mega Gardevoir someday and get obliterated. Blah 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 blah. See trades. The Scrafty falls asleep. The Fairthorn Leech is Mew from Arctic Blast side of the field comes onto the field. Super Fang, trades, and yeah, okay. And after, did Scrafty die? Scrafty did die, right? What did Scrafty? Yeah, it's Super Fanged onto a Rocky Helmet. I'm trying to find why it died, and it didn't immediately click. So, yeah, Scrafty from Kyle Cole's side dying to Helmet. Zard Y, or rather, I assume it's Zard Y. I would assume, if you're Arctic Blast, we'd also assume it's Zard Y, because why the fuck not, right? Why would it be Zard X? I think that guy sucks, but... And if you're Kyle Cole, you really would be wishing that this is indeed Zard Y too, but no, it's Zard X. Also, interesting HP number by Kyle Cole, by the way, on the Charizard, taking 50 from the Stealth Rocks, forcing the Roost if it has it, which it does reveal to have, so yeah. Snarl from Udo, punished by the competitive Milo. This Mew, Zard, yeah. I really don't like Zard X because, for one, you have to deal with Intims, two, you have to deal with Helmets, and it's not like yours, as a physical attacker, you're that strong. Anyway, also your Rock's weak. Like, opting into a Rock's weak Mon that's not necessarily that game-winning anyway is something I really don't agree with. Like, Zard Y, if this was Zard Y, Kyle Cole could have won this game like 3 decades ago. Because they could have just clicked Heat Wave like 5 times, like, and Arctic Blast's entire team would have been dead because they have no fire resist. Arctic Blast not learning from last week's lesson, I suppose. I hope their week 4 opponent uses like Mono Fire or something, I don't know. But whatever, that's a digression that I would not elaborate further on. Dragon Claw, this Xzard trying to fight back, Kyle Cole, fight back! I also don't like Milo, necessarily, Coil Milo, because like I don't know. I guess the format does have strong physical attackers, but this Milotic will also have to deal with Mega Kangaskhan anyway, so it's not really as big of a wall as it could be. Also, Thunderous exists, right? Is this Hypno? I hope it's Hypno. And if it is Hypno, it really should click Hypno on something, I think. Because otherwise, what are we doing here? Oh yeah, that got parried, and yeah. Yeah. Tough. Yeah, that sucks. And now Kangaskhan, the best physical attacker in the metagame behind Yenisek, is going to take out this Milotic with 2 prompt Psychoclasses. And yeah. And Kyle Cole is basically goobed because Kangaskhan is clicking Seismic Toss 4 times. Actually, it got static, so it's clicking it less than I assumed it would. Just Arctic Blast simplifying the position by taking out Kyle Cole's Mons and forcing a 3v1 to happen. Earthquake on Palandra's Ferrothorn. What will it opt to do? It opts to not gyro, I guess. Edge, Arctic Blast, blah 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 blah. Okay, this happens, and I think, by the way, this is a tangent really, but I really think Fire Blast is better because most of the fire moves targets are things you really don't want to use contact moves on anyway, and or Fire Blast already kills. So like Fire Blast already kills Genesect. I guess like actually I don't know. I guess Fire Punch is better on Genesect as long as this AV Genesect fad is happening. Like come on. It really shouldn't be a thing, but I guess that's one reason why Fire Punch is better. But otherwise, Fire Blast is better because you're hitting Ferrothorn, you're hitting whatchamacallit, you're hitting Pharaoh, you're hitting Amoong, you're hitting Agi. So like, I really think Fire Blast is better for those. The base power more making up-ish enough for not being a physical attack, and it still kills like non-AV Genesect. It does a significant amount to Ferrothorn. Yeah, it basically kills who you need it to kill, basically. But I digress. Instead, Kangaskhan, Arctic Blast's Kangaskhan opting into taking Iron Barbs. And Arctic Blast taking this win. And that is pretty much the games from week 1 to week 3. Not all of them, of course. The ones that I felt were fun and interesting, at least, to watch along with you guys. Well, I just rambled. This is a thought dump. I really didn't think much of this video for any extended period of time. I really wanted to dump my thoughts as I watched the games. Also, I'm gonna have to scrub my team builder and the part where I look at the Bobopedia for the mechanics on Mega Swampert later, so whatever. Anyway, it is what it is. If you like this kind of video, balls, and thanks for watching. Thanks. Bye.